Hey there, I'm Jackie Ferris. If you love abstract art, have we got a show for you? We are doing an artist profile of artist Kerry White, and you're going to love all of the shapes and his process. Get ready, the 302 is headed your way. Welcome to the creative space of Kerry White. Whether it's digital or acrylics, definitely a lot for us to explore with the artist. Kerry, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
So let's talk a little bit about, your art itself. It really stands out in that is it abstract? How would you classify?
I would call it abstract. I don't know. I think somebody called it abstract expressionism at some point. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool too. So, but I still go with abstract. I can't draw a straight line to save my soul.
So I know you've been exhibiting lately at places like the Dover Art League. We saw your work there, and you're really kind of proliferating through the art scene. But you're relatively new at this. Is that right?
Yeah, I've only been doing this for maybe the last couple of years of my off time. So.
Yeah.
So not really pretty new.
So how did you get into it? What made you say, okay, I'm gonna pick up a brush, I'm gonna pick up a camera?
I actually started messing around with resin and stuff like that and doing different types of resin pours, and I started pouring it on canvas, and then eventually just got into acrylics, and that was it. It took off from there, just kept going. And then I had a knack for it, started doing it on my phone, so I have digital stuff too, but it's just kind of picked it up, started doing it.
Absolutely, and now it's like, how many places are you, besides the Dover Art League, I know you've shown at other places.
That's it.
Yeah, well, get ready, because we actually did a show at the Dover Art League, and we saw one of your pieces, and we featured it in the show. Very emotional, very powerful. And you've heard people use that word for your work before.
Yeah, it makes me happy to hear that. And I think that's the idea behind abstract, is because you're not painting a picture, right? You're not painting a masterpiece of two people engaged in some activity or something like that. You're putting down something that would otherwise look like a big glob of paint, but you're attaching some sort of emotion, some sort of feeling to it. And by people telling me that I've actually accomplished that, that's the best part about it. Right?
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your process. How do you prepare yourself? How do you get in the headspace? Or is there a certain time when you're like, now's the time to paint?
It usually ends up being when I can find the time. Yeah. I'm currently working on my bachelor's in data science, so that takes up a lot of my time right now. I have he's almost 2, so I have a toddler. He takes up all the other time, and my wife, of course. And between all of that and working full time for the military, I get out here when I can, and it just happens when it can. Sometimes it's bad, like sometimes I look at the stuff that I made and I'm like, some of this stuff gets painted over, some of it gets covered up, hence the name. So it just really is when I get a chance to be out here and find that time.
Do you feel like because you are going into a science connected field, that the images that you end up drawing are somehow related to science?
They can be, because I think my biggest love about doing the abstract is the experimentation. And that's obviously that is science in itself, is let me see what this does, come up with a hypothesis, let me see how this works out, and that's pretty much kind of the way I approach it. I'm like, let me mix these things together and see what happens, and if I like it, then I like it and I move forward with it. Maybe it inspires me a bit more in itself, so like this thing speaks to me and now it wants to be this, or okay, this doesn't appeal to me at all, and I'll scrap it in some way or another and start fresh with a new process, and maybe I'll tweak it from the previous time or something like that. So definitely a little bit of science involved with the art.
Yeah, well, once you get science in the brain, I mean, I think it touches every aspect of your life, you know, science and math. I wanted to ask you though, speaking of science, the image that you have next to you, it kind of looks like cells, you know what I'm saying?
Cells or space?
Yeah, it could
even
be, I mean, that would be a wild place.
I have
What
one
universe is
inside that's
that?
actually big and red, and it looks really cool because there's a lot of reds and yellows in there, and I can show it to you later if you'd like. But this is actually dirty dishwater.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you capture that?
I saw it in the sink and was like, that looks really cool, some soap, and that's what created the little bubbles, right? So you have your soap capturing the grease in the pan and the water, and just got my camera really close to it and took a picture. And
Now, what did you do to it afterwards? It looks like you took the color out.
yeah, a little bit of editing, maybe make it sharper, something like that. Cropping it so you don't see the other parts of the bubbles that might give it away.
Or the dishes underneath. I can almost see the dishes.
Well, this
when
is
you look at
super
it.
close though. This is like the bottom of a pan. So the pan, as in perspective to these bubbles, the pan would be, you know, the size of that wall there. So it would be really big. It's the same as that one back there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's the same
This
one.
one.
But that one right there is actually the impeller of like a water pump from work.
The impaler of a
It's an impeller, yeah, that's
Impeller?
the inside of a motor that actually makes the water move through the pipes.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, but it looked, you know, I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, and it's actually broken if you can see some of the pieces that are sheared off.
Yeah, now that you know what it is,
But, yeah, I find weird images like that and kind of fall in love with them. And like, okay, I got to capture it. I have some other ones that are like that, of like close-ups of just metal tables.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like things, the scratches on it look really cool when you change the coloring and the contrast and stuff. So I just
Well, I want to ask you about more of your pieces, and then we're going to see how the magic is made when we return.
This is Wesley Paulson from Clear Space Theater giving a shout out to the 302 and thanking you for supporting live theater at the beach.
Welcome back. We are in the creative space of artist Kerry White. Kerry, this is really fascinating to see that you take everyday objects and you capture them in such a way that you don't really know what they are, but you're drawn to them. There's a familiarity to it. So I want to ask you about this digital image here, if we can just kind of bring it this way. So, okay, this is really cool. To me, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of, I don't know, I have no idea, but it's really cool. What are we looking at?
So this was actually, it's just a collection of rust. That's really all it was, some oxidation on metal, and I took a really close-up picture of it. And, you know, I put it in a digital, like on my phone or whatever, and edit it, tweak the colors until it looks cool. It really is.
Yeah, it does. It almost looks like, I mean, I guess I can see that it's rust, but I don't know. It captivates the eye. It's like a abstract, are you ready? Starry Night. It's got that kind of vibe to it. So, all right, but I want to ask you about this. Now, it goes this way, right?
It goes just like that.
Like that? Okay.
Or the other way. I mean, in my mind it does. If it makes you happy, go the other way.
I just want to put it in its best light. So what have we got going on here?
So it really just starts off as a doodle. Like I was messing with some shapes and an app I have on my phone, and after that I just start playing with it, and it kind of speaks for itself, or it speaks to me and allows me to like just kind of turns into something on its own, and like the yellowed parchment in the back kind of gives it that antiquity, and it just, I don't know, to me it reminds me of something, some type of archaic flying machine, like a sail going that way to me, you know, like But I like it when the art kind of gives its own interpretation to different people. I love to hear what different people think it looks like.
Like clouds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
I
like
love
clouds.
it. It's awesome.
See, this reminds me, I come from New Mexico. This reminds me of something Native American, just in the coloring, and I really like how it seems like ancient. You know
Right,
what I
like
mean?
that.
Like it's on a hide or something, you know, and this is very reminiscent of that. So I think it's fascinating. But so you're making stuff like this. So this is digital as well. But when you do the acrylic, I mean, what's your process? Do you come out here? What do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of different music. Anything from industrial and glitchy type of stuff. It just
What
depends
is
on
glitchy type of stuff?
like early 90s stuff like Aphex Twin,
Okay.
Square Pusher. There's this one metal band called Igor that they combine all sorts of stuff and just thrash it together, and it just kind of breaks my brain down because it's not your typical like, you know, segmented out 4/4/4/4 song. So, but a lot of times industrial, sometimes pop. It really doesn't matter. I was just listening to my, you know, Spotify does the yearly recap for you. I was listening to that yesterday, and you know, it goes from like blast beat metal to Sabrina Carpenter song was on there.
Wow.
So yeah, so it really doesn't. It really kind of changed. Yeah, it really does.
So do you have like an intention whenever you're painting? Something that you're trying to, I mean, or can you tell us if there's a piece that you were like, I really want people to feel, you know, a certain way when they see this? Do you try to do that?
I think, so these couple of pieces over here, actually, I was actually trying to gun for that. Most of the time, I usually just come out with experimentation in mind, and I kind of, either my emotions and feelings come out, or something else takes precedence. I don't know, it either works or it doesn't work.
So this is what I'm talking about. This is really emotional, this piece here. So can you talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you were thinking and, you know?
So in this one, it's really interesting too, because a lot of times it starts with a new thing that I found. So this is like marbling powder that's in here, and it makes a certain texture, right? That and using wood varnish makes a different texture. So when utilizing that, and it kind of comes out, it gives it that parchment kind of thing. And it starts that, and coupled with a couple other ones over there, started giving me these vibes of like the alchemic process. And I was like, okay, so they actually kind of started linking themselves together, and I actually kind of went with this. So this is almost, and it's not exactly alchemic, because this is more like Faustian to me, like the pact with the devil kind of kind of thing, you know, like that's what it kind of resembles.
It's very
me,
dark. It's very dark and
yeah.
emotional, and I think a lot of your pieces are emotional on one end of the spectrum or another. So I mean, which is a good thing for an artist, I would imagine. So, but it's the process of just experimenting with new things and coming out and just being with the art, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a moment in time. Like I kind of get lost in it, and it, like I said, it becomes its own thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not that great. But either, you know, I'll paint over it, we'll start again. You know, but ultimately it's therapy for me. So.
Yeah, get that stress out, get it on the canvas. So excellent. So we are going to come back and we're going to see how the magic is made. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Alexandra Deutsch, Director of Collections at Winterthur, and we love talking about art with the 302.
Welcome back. We are in the creative space of Kerry White, learning how he makes the magic happen. So this is, we've seen an image similar to this before on the opposite scale, which was very emotional and a little disturbing, not gonna lie. But so what are you gonna do with this piece right here?
So I just started this yesterday, and you can see that, so I used a special little concoction that I came up with, and basically it's creating these cracks and you have that extra piece on there as well. So today I think what I want to try to do is actually use some of that varnish that I was talking about before.
Okay.
And a little bit of my acrylic ink, just really liquidy acrylic, and then a little special gesso mix that I have that I'm gonna play with. So,
well, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea.
Now, did you have some kind of training, or is this all from your imagination?
YouTube.
YouTube. Well, that's a good school. I can tell
anywhere that I can find stuff. Usually, like I'll watch YouTube videos or different little books and stuff. And most of it's just experimentation. Really, it is, and figuring out what it is that I like and what I don't like. Unfortunately, you can see my horrible messes that I have that are just all these different utensils that I find.
It's an artist workshop, man.
Not to break away too much, but I just got some really cool stuff from the Dollar Tree of all places. These little foam dots that I can use later. I'm gonna cover it and mix it all together so it'll create interesting textures, you know. But so a little bit of water, and we get that effect, right?
Nice.
And then a little bit of this. It's basically just clear gesso and water mixed together. And I wanted to see if I can get it to work. So this is the first time, so don't make fun of me if it doesn't work, because it doesn't look like it's gonna go through. Oh no, there we go.
Oh, it kind of blends it.
Well, it's a little bit white, but it's actually gonna dry clear. So when I get that, this stuff is basically oil. So it's gonna give me some really interesting effects there.
Kind of dyes it, but then...
Yep, and it left it there, so. And this will run, and it'll actually dry really cool. I'm trying to get into those like cracks along the outside of it.
So everything, whenever you do acrylic, a lot of it is just layers and layers.
Layers and layers.
And you use a lot of like twine and other objects.
Anything I can find, usually. Just if it's sitting around, I'm like, oh, that would actually look kind of cool. Put it here, put it there, you know?
Yeah.
I have some like old antique nails that I found the other day, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to use those one time. And this, it doesn't look really cool right now, but later it'll show up, and it'll dry, and it'll sink in a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it gives more effect, like that one.
Oh yeah.
See how it sinks in there?
Into the cracks and everything. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Now, what are you thinking when you do this one? What's on your mind?
Usually my mind is kind of blank, honestly. Like I said, really it is about me. From my perspective is the experimentation. So I was trying to achieve these big cracks in there.
I really like that when you, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but if you turn it, there's underpainting of like a metallic green.
There's actually, that's actually leaf.
Oh, it is? That is really cool.
So originally this was like really blue and it had green leaf on it.
And what was this that made this, you don't mind if I touch it, sorry.
No, you're good, it's dry.
That made this texture here, because that looks like you ran like a tire over it or something.
Yes. I don't remember what it was.
Wow, well it's kind of cool.
Something that I had that I made.
Can you see that texture? So that's amazing. So how did you, so now you're in it, right?
Yeah.
You're an artist, you're in it, hopefully more shows, but what was the call that said, okay, I'm gonna devote my garage, and how did you get your wife to let you have the garage?
Yeah, I think the garage has always kind of been my place for the most part. Like, even back in the day, it's always just been kind of my place, my toolbox in here and all that stuff, so just...
One day you were just like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how after a little while, how it's changed the painting, you know? I mean, it wants to pool and separate, so it really is cool.
Yeah, and tomorrow, see, that's the long process. I'll have several going at any point because I have to leave this now. I can't really do anything more with it, so this will wait until tomorrow, even a couple of days from now, for that varnish to actually dry completely. Or if I want, I can come out and start messing with it while it's still tacky, and it'll just create a different image, if you will. So, I would basically just start on the next one and come up with different ideas, and they basically end up on this little rack. kind of waiting to see what happens next, you know?
Yeah, where the journey takes you.
That's basically like I have this piece here, and I've been kind of coming out every now and again and moving it around. I kind of want to add this little piece of wire that I've wrapped in twine.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of come up with some type of idea, like an image, just something to draw attention to this area. And I still haven't gotten it right.
Yeah.
But eventually
You'll get there. You'll get there for sure. Well, Kari, thank you so much for letting us come in and showing us your process. And we're really excited to see, you know, where you go with all of this, because you certainly have a talent.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you for
quite
being
welcome.
here.
Oh, absolutely. Our pleasure. We'll be right back. Are you digging all of this abstract art? Well, here are some other things you might want to check out. For more information on Kerry White's work, you can visit kwhite836 on Instagram or check out what he's showing off at the Dover Art League. That'll do it for this week's episode of The 302. Make sure you follow us on Facebook to get some behind-the-scenes content you're just not going to get anywhere else. We're going to leave you now with a beauty shot of downtown Dover. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. Tell them you saw it on The 302.